Thank you for joining me today from different sides of the world. That's pretty cool. I guess if you each want to sort of introduce yourselves, or if one of you wants to introduce the other, let me know a little bit about your backgrounds as entrepreneurs and what kind of brought you to start this company. It's a pretty cool adventure. I'd love to hear about it.
So my name's Ryan, and I'm from Vancouver, Canada. I own a creative agency that we do a lot of video production, photography and branding, but then I also have a lead generation agency, which I've really doubled down on, where we create websites and kind of provide resources to people and generate leads. So I got into this industry, timeshare cancellation, about a year ago, and was kind of doing my own thing. And that's when I met Rajul, and we kind of partnered up. I'll let you take it away, Rajul, and explain your story a little bit.
Okay, I'm Rajul. I'm based in London, England, and I've got a digital lead generation agency focused on real estate and travel. Similar to Ryan, I discovered the opportunity in timeshare cancellation, and we decided to join forces. And we thought that it would be great to create a brand, because we saw a big consumer need out there where people were really struggling to get good information on how to get out of their timeshare. So we kind of started it from the consumer perspective, and then kind of, built the business around that after kind of figuring out what people actually wanted.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, let me just jump in, because this is a really intriguing business model. I think most people like me, I'm familiar with timeshares. I know that you always hear about issues of why maybe you don't want to get one because it is hard to get out of or whatnot. And, you guys are obviously working with, it sounds like, timeshare cancellation firms or agencies. I'm not sure. Can you just kind of, one of you, explain a little bit more about what this industry is exactly? Because it's definitely new to me.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. So it's definitely kind of a strange industry that we stumbled upon. So there's 10 million timeshare owners in the United States. And a lot of the times, to be sold a timeshare, they're sold with kind of like pressure sales tactics or kind of sleazy sales tactics, where they're promised this asset that would grow as if they purchased a home, where they might even spend up to $200,000 on a timeshare. And in a lot of states, that's obviously a beautiful home you could be purchasing. But they're putting these timeshares. A lot of them are a little bit more elderly, and therefore they've kind of been tricked into it. So they've got this thing they think is an asset, which is actually a liability, and that they can't get the weeks they want to go on vacation. Right now, with everything that's going on in the world, they obviously can't travel to where they want to go as well. So that's a big piece of it. On top of the mortgage they may, or the debt they may have with their timeshare, there's maintenance fees that they're paying every year. So they get into this thing that they assume is going to be, it's only $100 a night instead of the $200 I would have had to spend with something else. But over time, their fees go up. It's not an asset. Again, it's a liability they have for life, that can even be passed on to their children. So there's a lot of people who want out of these timeshares, and then there's thus created a legal market, where there's a couple different tactics that firms can use to get them out of timeshares. So that's become this big industry where people are like, wow, you're telling me I can get rid of this timeshare? People are searching for ways to do that. And that's the resources that we try to provide them with, is information on how to do that.
Right. So they're kind of contracted. It's not like if you own a house and you want out, you put it on the market. There's much more legalities involved, and it's tricky, it sounds like.
Well, you can try and sell your timeshare, but if you go on eBay right now, you'll see thousands of them for $1 because they're worth nothing. So if you could buy a timeshare,
eBay wouldn't even have crossed my mind as where I would go for such a thing. But
which is funny. But there are tons of different websites have them for, wild. Take it off my hands. People pay other people to get rid of them. That's how much they want to get rid of them. So that's the opportunity.
Yeah, that's wild. So what kind of relationship do you have with these law firms or whatever they are? Is this sort of do they have affiliate programs in place, or are you kind of just creating this lead gen and working with them directly? How does that work?
So we work directly with these companies. There's no affiliate program as such. So there are quite a few of these flavors of these companies, if you like. So Some take a more legalistic approach, and they're almost like attorneys, or they have their own in-house attorneys, and they will actually fight the timeshare resorts directly on behalf of the owner. Others are kind of intermediaries, and they'll introduce you to an attorney, and they'll kind of package it up as a service. So, and there are others which do something which is not really cancellation of the timeshare, which is just to transfer it to someone else, or maybe to say that they're going to sell it and then charge you like a realtor would, which very often won't get rid of your liability. So what all this means is there are a lot of pitfalls for the consumer. So that what we do is we try and vet these companies, and we find the ones that are genuinely offering a service that will legally cancel a timeshare for the owner, which is what people want in most cases.
Right.
And, they have to have verified reviews on BBB, and they have to have a track record. And so, we're acting as a kind of intermediary, a filter, to help people who are stuck in a timeshare kind of avoid getting conned, because there are many people who will take their money saying they'll get them out of the timeshare, but they won't actually do it.
Right.
And at the same time, we'll build a relationship with these timeshare cancellation firms where we supply them leads. And we do that on a cost per lead basis. So
we've dive a little bit more into that.
Yeah, we built ourselves a funnel which allows us to generate pretty much as many leads as we want through social media. Mm-hmm. And obviously then we qualify those leads, right, and we filter them to different firms. So we try and find the timeshare owner the right solution for them, because there are different solutions. We kind of try and fit them to the right company.
Gotcha. So you've kind of built out what these different companies, what their target customer really looks like. That makes sense.
Yes.
You mentioned in the listing as well that it sounds like you have some sort of integration with the CRM for, I don't know if it's all of these companies that you're working with or one particular exit company. How's that work? How do you have their CRM details?
Yeah, so we specifically, as opposed to working with an affiliate program where we would just post the lead data to URL and never see it again, we take all these leads and they go into our own nurturing cycle. They go into our own CRM. So we'll be actually nurturing them on our side to try and help them. Hey, have you talked to the client yet? How'd it go? What would you rate your consultation? So we're trying to manage the leads on that side. So we also have some ownership over those leads in terms of nurturing them. And then we directly integrate into the CRM as in we'll send the leads to a Google sheet as well as to our CRM, and then we'll zap them directly into the client CRM as well. So we have all that lead information, and then we're zapping it to them in real time. So they're getting a lead, and then they can call them within, the 5 minutes that they need to get them, to get on them right away, as opposed to, us sending them at the end of the day, a big batch of leads or something like that. So we are kind of giving them leads in real time.
Amazing. So are you getting paid out just based on that initial lead, like when they make a phone call, or is it kind of a whole end process goal?
We're generally getting paid a flat rate per lead. We keep it really simple for them. So we're generating these leads anyway, and we just approach these companies that ones we like, who we know offer a great service, and we say, look, do you want to try some of these leads? We think they're people you could help. And then we negotiate a price per lead and just send them the leads. And then obviously, if those leads are good and they close them, they order more. Yeah. There's no contracts, there's no commitment for the cancellation firm. And so that allows us to kind of scale it quite well and to pretty much sell to anyone.
Yeah.
We found that they've approached us more than we've approached them.
We have had no issue finding clients in this industry. In terms of generating leads, I think we have one of the best brands in the market right now, and we're able to generate a lot. So we've had people come to us, and we've even turned down clients that we didn't think offered a good service to our leads, because we see the feedback on Facebook ads when clients go back and say, hey, this firm never called me, or whatever it was, right? So we make sure that we vet those clients. And then the other nice part about our business model is they pay us up front for leads. So if someone wants to order 100 leads, they pay us that up front. And then we then generate those 100 leads for them. And then that's where we make our margin, is on, if they pay a certain amount per lead, and we can get the lead for less than that, then that's the margin we make. But that's something that, especially now because we're so established, that's just like, that's one of our terms. Like if you want leads, you got to pay up front, and we have a minimum order, and people have been happy to pay that. And we've built trust with a lot of our clients on that too, which is a big part of it.
Yeah, amazing. So at this point in running the business, do you have a pretty solid idea of what, what acquisition cost or return on ad spend looks like? And you're able to kind of factor that into what you're charging these guys up front?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's always a risk on our side. There's always a risk that on some days leads might cost us more or less, but we pretty much aim for, a target cost per lead that will give us, a good enough margin to cover those, bad days.
Right.
So
yeah, no, as long as it's good data to have.
It's not. I just want to make clear that it's not. This isn't really a passive income kind of operation, because we're constantly optimizing our ads and our funnel. Because since we make money on lowering our cost per lead, but still delivering great leads, we need to keep on top of it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're constantly testing new ads. So we've got, I think on our ad accounts, we've actually got multiple ad accounts, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan, but I think we've got about 1,000 different ads that we tested. And, you have to keep refreshing. So we continuously kind of bench campaigns, we bring them back. And, we've got all kinds of proven hooks that we've used, different images, different angles on the market, long copy ads, short copy ads, videos, you name it, we've done it. We've gone
all the fun A/B testing.
So that's obviously all going to be passed on, right? That's an asset that we're selling as part of the business.
Yeah, fantastic. So all that data that's already in there.
Pixel as well, which has got thousands of conversions.
Of course.
Which, to be honest with you, we haven't fully exploited. We've done very limited retargeting and really, use the pixel. We're getting into that more and more, but that's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, that's interesting. So is it just the two of you guys running this for the most part, or do you have like any virtual assistants, that kind of stuff in the mix?
So both of us have our own agencies. So I have mine in London, Ryan has his, and we both work together on Slack. So we're managing stuff, especially the advertising side and the sales side. But we have our own teams as well that we kind of, work with on certain tasks. But on the whole, I think we've kept it pretty minimal. So I guess the main work outside the actual advertising and the funnel optimization would be customer service, right, Ryan?
Okay.
So it's things like responding to messages on Facebook, emails. We get a lot of emails from people who just want help. And we treat it like it's our brand. It really is for us important to try and help people.
Right.
So, we have a couple of people in our team, each of our teams, who will kind of jump in, make sure people are looked after. We get feedback on how our clients serve them, so we can then pass that on to our clients. And as Ryan said, even drop clients if they don't offer a great service. Mm-hmm. So, I would say like the sales side takes care of itself. We hardly need to do sales activity for, to find clients for our business. So most of our work is spent, most of our time is spent on ads and on improving landing pages. And we've built out landing pages. We've built bespoke funnels for pretty much all the big players in the industry. Mm. So I think that's also a big asset that we could pass on.
Yeah, for sure. So it definitely sounds like this is, in my mind, it's almost more of an advertising lead generation company that just happens to work in this timeshare cancellation industry than anything else. So I am curious, and I think I forget if you covered it in your listing or not, but how much of an expert in timeshares would the new owner actually need to be versus understanding how Facebook lead generation works?
It's honestly like, the industry is somewhat straightforward, which is why we like it. Like, essentially, if you have a timeshare and you hate it, like, there's probably a solution for you, which is kind of why it worked well. Like, it's not like we're doing mortgage leads where it's like, there's all these, like, do you qualify? Like, all these different things. Like, really, all you need to have to qualify is like where you kind of missold or sold more than you can afford. And that's like most people, because they've been gone to a sales presentation where they've signed something that's pretty sketch. So that's like makes it quite simple. Like in terms of I think there's some psychology that you need to understand about the people that they think they've purchased an asset. So they really need to be like, you need to provide resources for them so they understand, like, unfortunately, you've been duped. Like, as lovingly as possible, is like, hey, you know what? The best thing you can actually do is just get rid of this liability and then start to invest that money elsewhere that you would have paid to that. So instead of paying that $50,000 mortgage, you can pay, a couple grand to get out of that liability. And then there's 50 grand that you can use over the next, however many years to invest elsewhere. And then I think understanding, there's a couple things in terms of the types of leads we get, the amount of debt they have, the amount of maintenance fees they pay, the mortgage resort that they're with. There's a couple of like the big major resorts out there, but there's nothing too complicated about the industry, to be honest.
Oh, that's great. That's what people want to hear, right? Because I'm sure, I mean, as with any industry, you're gonna learn it when you get into it. But I was just kind of curious if you need to come in with some sort of detailed background or not. It sounds like you don't. You can definitely learn it while you're going, which is great. I think the last question I really have is, and I'll phrase it like this because I love it. But, if you guys were keeping this business for another 3 years, whatever it is, what would you kind of look at to keep it growing? What steps would you take? So, therefore, what would you maybe tell a new owner to take if they're going to run this for another 2, 3, 5, 10 years?
Okay, so the first opportunity is SEO, because obviously, as you've seen already from the way our model works, there's no problem selling the leads. I mean, the leads sell themselves, and at premium rates if you collect good information. So if you can get them for free, through good SEO, you're going to do very well. And we know there are people in the market who do very well just through SEO. They can't scale as much as us. So if you combine the scale that we already have by adding SEO and the client relationships we already have as well, which we're going to pass on, then I think that would be a huge driver of growth, because obviously your cost per lead on SEO is your margin is much bigger. So I think that's a big opportunity. The other opportunity, which is something that's more and more being mentioned to us by our clients, is by kind of live transferring them the leads. So that's where you call the lead. So as Timeshare Tracy, so before we pass them on to the client, we would call them. We would kind of verify that they're really, keen to get out or what their situation is. And then we would live transfer them to the clients. And there are a lot of tools that help you do that. And in fact, we've got a partner who already is sort of starting to help us with that. So that's a great opportunity, because then you make it even easier for the timeshare cancellation firm. They don't have to call our leads. We would actually hand them on a plate, pre-qualified, and they just have to close them. And that would also expand the market, because some of the companies we've worked with, we've generated leads for them and they've liked the leads, but they haven't been able to follow up as well on them as they should, because they don't have the resources or they don't have enough people. So I think having live transfers is a huge opportunity, and it's pretty easy to add that on.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Because we have the rest of the funnel built.
Oh, froze up a bit, Rajul.
So there's a couple of things there. And then we focused heavily on Facebook because we're good at Facebook, but there's tons of opportunity using YouTube. We've created video content already, which is showing a lot of traction, display ads, and there's all kinds of opportunities also to cross target platforms.
Right.
So to use pixels on Google to target people on Facebook and vice versa. So there's quite a few opportunities.
Yeah,
and
sounds like opportunities galore.
It's actually a growing industry, which we've
always
really? Find hard to believe. That,
yeah, that's crazy.
That very much surprises me. I did not know it was a growing industry. I mean, I didn't think it was declining, but I didn't think it was growing.
So both timeshares are growing, and obviously timeshare cancellation is growing even faster than timeshare growth.
Amazing.
So,
well, the timeshare companies figure out ways to pitch it now. So they pitch it as a travel package or whatever. Like, they don't call it a timeshare anymore. So there's all these different ways that I think it's still growing at whatever 10 to 15% a year or something.
Incredible.
remember what the number was, but yeah.
Well, yeah, as they get better at selling something that nobody really wants, then you guys, your industry grows as well because people are trying to get rid of it. So you found a fantastic niche, I must say.
It's unfortunate.
It is, but hey, it works for you guys and for whoever hopefully takes over this business from you. So yeah, no, it sounds really intriguing to me. It's such a big industry, but something I haven't, maybe there's been something on Flip in the past that revolves around the timeshare industry, but I haven't seen it myself. So I'm excited for this. I think there's gonna be someone out there who finds this, it's a pretty interesting adventure that they can go on. So thanks for sharing with us today and teaching us a little bit about the timeshare cancellation business. Appreciate it, guys.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.